Hello Art 1-2 and welcome to the hand demonstration. So disregard her skin. I'm not done with it, but I got it to the point where I wanted to show you guys how to refine like before doing the nose. So it's not totally done, it's not refined whatsoever. But I wanted you to be able to see the hand and get that value on there so that you can kind of compare. Okay, so looking at the image, most of the time, regardless of your skin tone, if the hand is in front of the face, it's lighter. So I'm really noticing that her hand is lighter than her skin that's next to it. It's lighter than the neck skin. It's definitely lighter than the neck and chest area on that side. I also look for where's the lightest value. So her light is kind of coming from above and to the left. So therefore, like the top part of her fingers are getting a little bit more light, a little bit less light on the right-hand side. So just like take a minute and look at it and compare. Okay, so since her skin, it's not a very big area, and it's lighter than some of the face skin and neck skin, I'm going to use old school wooden pencil because I want it to be a little precise. Once I do the hands, I do not want to go back over them. Like, I just want to be done with them. So we're going to refine as we go. Okay, actually let me switch sides for this image. Hopefully you can see both. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna start out at the top, and so when I do the lips, then I'll make sure that the lips are lighter than the top of this finger here. So I wanna get a clean edge. And while I'm here, I'm gonna put in some of those darker wrinkles. Okay, over here, put in the wrinkles, then I'm gonna do a thin layer, not pressing very hard at all, and noticing how it gets darker as it goes down to the fingernail. And then I'm looking at like the difference between the pointer finger and the middle finger. The pointer finger is darker, so I'm gonna get a darker edge and kind of fade that up a little bit. Okay. Then I look for how do these two visually separate. And they visually separate because this part of the finger along here is darker. Plus I have some wrinkles I need to put in. Okay, so I'm gonna go along that edge. And here, definitely. Okay, along this part, fading up. Along that curve. All right, then I look at the finger in general, and I look for where is it lighter. So for this one, the highlight is like in the center of the finger, like in here. So I am going to avoid that part. So I'm gonna match this outline. Actually, let me clean this up a little bit. There we go, before we start that part. So match that outline, kind of fade in. Okay, did that to fade up a little bit. And I'm noticing this part actually has some wrinkles, creases I didn't add, so I'll add those in. And then in general, this, I don't know, middle digit, I guess you could say, is slightly darker. So I'm gonna add a thin layer, kind of matching that outline and then darkening a little bit there. Okay, so then looking at the thumb, so the back side of her thumb is lighter, and so it kind of depends on your skin tone. Most of the time, well, unless you're super pale like me, but still my underside of my hands are lighter compared to the top. So even looking like, well, this isn't a good example, but looking in different light, it would appear lighter. So that actually is, it took me a minute to figure out if that was her nail, but it's the back side of her thumb. And so I am going to use mechanical pencil so I don't have to touch this edge again. I'm gonna go along the edge of that finger and I'm gonna do the shape of the cast shadow. And that's all I'm going to do, because I'm just going to use my blender to create the tone of that finger. Okay, moving to the middle finger. Okay, so I'm looking at how does this finger visually separate from the ring finger? Well, this side has a little bit of value. And then there's like a crease. A coarse shadow along that part. Okay, so I'm definitely going to add in the wrinkles, and her knuckle kind of curves. I'm taking notice like it's a little more value on this one. Okay, so then again, like the knuckle curves and it lines up with the end of this nail here. And it kind of looks indented a little. So I'll do over the lines. Okay, so then while I'm here, I am going to add a little bit of value kind of coming in where that curvature of the knuckle is. All right, then moving to, oh, actually, so I do want to add a little bit of value around the nail because her skin is darker than the nail. So of course, if your nails are dark, if you have nail polish on, oh, I don't have any pictures, do I? Do I? I do. She has nail polish on, although you can't hardly see it. So I would add a layer, but you can see like the shiny part of that nail barely, to where you would like go around the shiny part because it's really hard to then erase back out. So go around any shiny parts on the nails that you can see. I'm gonna bring that piece of skin in, fade out. Yeah, that's a little bit better. She had like a lump happening on that finger. Okay, so looking at this ring finger, and I'm definitely going to use a little bit of value to separate the two fingers. A little bit more of a shadow kind of happening from the pinky. Okay. I'm going to go over the lines that I see. And if you can't see the lines in your photograph, then I would put your hand in that position and look at the lines, because you can see tons of, well, I'm old, but you can see tons of the lines in person, or pose your hand the same way and look in the mirror, because your hands can look really weird if they don't have all the lines in them and the creases, because that's what makes them look rounded and curved. So if you don't have it, add it. Okay, so end to know the skin's a little bit darker as it's folding away from us slightly. Okay, pinky. Okay, so I definitely have some creases that I didn't necessarily put in. She has a shadow along the bottom edge of that pinky. I can see more, usually your pinky, because you can see the whole edge, the whole like the side of it, you can see like the wrinkles extending to the side. So just double check whatever finger is like totally in front. Okay. All right, taking another look at the knuckle parts. That's kind of square off, and it kind of comes up. I'm kind of doing some value mapping that I didn't do before. And some wrinkles going off. I'm going to do a thin layer over the rest of her hand because the top of the palm, the back side of the palm, I don't know, whatever part this is darker slightly. Okay, so I'm going to stay away from that edge because it's lighter. Then this part for her is like the inside of the hand and it's darker, and I do see a cast shadow, which nope, I don't actually see that much of. Okay, well, I'm going to get a clean edge, and I'll probably clean this up one more time. I'm going to fade down with my mechanical pencil a little bit. Then use some 6B because it's pretty dark in that part. So I'm going to not place the 6B along the edge. And she has a slightly lighter area coming in. Okay, so you're definitely going to use the small blender for this. And so since you're not old, I kind of blend over the wrinkles first. So wherever I kind of see those, that way they look a little more subtle when I actually just blend over everything. Okay, so circular motion, using the side of the blender as much as possible. Kind of getting a clean edge, clean kind of outline. And I'm going to blend over the whole thing in small sections at a time. So again, I'm touching over the wrinkles, and we'll probably add another layer to the wrinkles. Okay, so then along here, it's a shadow. I'm going to give this a slight tone because it's not straight up white, so I'm not pressing very hard at all, but it's definitely a lighter value. Okay. All right, then next finger. I'm kind of trying to curve those. If your wrinkles look straight, just curve them over so it makes your hand look a little more curved. I'm going over her core shadow. Shadow underneath that first knuckle part. Okay, then I'm gonna let me go over this part. Fade up a little bit, keeping the shape. Then with little pressure, just going to gently kind of go over and create the tone of the skin, keeping in mind that here it's, well, you guys can't hardly see that, like here it's a little bit lighter, so I'm going to press less, with less pressure. Kind of blend over. Okay, then same thing again and again on each finger. And I'm just kind of noticing like how dark or light is the skin compared to the finger that it's next to. We're definitely going to have to go back with some mechanical pencil. Do some bigger circles over the area that I already blended, just to kind of get that to smooth out a little bit more. Okay. Okay, let's see. So I'm kind of drawing in like this scoop behind the knuckles, knowing that I'm going to be able to go back and erase out the little highlights on the tips of the knuckles, like over here, the ridges on the knuckles. And I do think I'll probably, well, actually her neck is separating still. I'll fix it in just, well, actually, while I'm here. I do feel like this part is slightly darker. And I actually had it this dark, and then I thought it looked too dark. Okay, that brings the hand forward a little bit. So I'm trying not to blend along the line. I want to kind of just fade in what I added so I can get a clean, crisp line and not have to go back over it. Okay, so with mechanical, actually let me double check her nails. I'm just gonna add a little bit of value because they're not, actually that nail length needs to be wider. You cannot see that much of that. I'm also looking at how like the nail kind of curves up when it's sloping down. Bring the finger in a little bit. Okay. All right, with mechanical, I'm going to go back and refine, especially the line in between. So I'm not going to press very hard here. I'm going to try to match that value, but definitely get like a crisper kind of edge and then fade up. And if you can get it super smooth by hand, don't blend. Okay, I feel like this needs to come up a little bit. And some of that dark kind of fades into the shadow part over there. Okay, over here. Okay, and then I'm fading and matching. I'm also going to go over, she has a couple of wrinkles I didn't. I wonder if I can zoom in. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys. How effective this is going to be. This camera's only good at certain distances. Okay, so I added in some wrinkles here. I'm going to go over the ones that I already have. Okay, definitely going over my wrinkles there, not pressing very hard and kind of redefining the outline of the nail. So for this one, I feel like the face edge is like right here. And it's darker than the thumb, so I'm going to use that to kind of fade up. I'm going to kind of get a cleaner edge there. Okay, so then for the knuckle part, I still think the top of this finger is a little bit darker. Just because I'm looking at like how light does the lip have to be? Actually, that shadow can go behind. Okay, so I feel like this curves over a little bit more. So then on the wrinkles, I'm just gonna touch, blend over to soften. And then with mechanical pencil eraser or kneaded eraser, whatever you're more comfortable with, with the kneaded eraser, you would definitely pinch it to make it pointy and flat. Oops, sorry, pinch it, make it pointy and flat. That way we can kind of draw in some of the lighter wrinkles. I already have that one there. And then if it looks too sharp, like I feel like here's a little bit too much, then I'm going to gently blend over with my small blender. Okay, so for this thumb, I've been back and forth with this thumb. Drawing it, it just looked weird to me because it doesn't have a lot of stuff happening. Okay, so then this finger separating from the thumb. I'm not going to press very hard, but I definitely need a more defined edge. So I'm going to go darker in the background. Fade that part out. So kind of cleaning up the edge. All right, so this one, adding in a couple wrinkles. And it's darker above this nail. So adding a little bit. Okay. Going over those wrinkles. Using kneaded eraser to pull back out. So I'm pinching it and I kind of flatten. So you have a little sharp point. Ooh, it's true on her hair. Okay, so I'm really looking at kind of like what does the top of the knuckle look like? And I'm re-pinching so that I can pull back out. And if it looks too extreme, like I feel like here, it's a little too extreme, super gently blend over to smudge it back. Okay, so I definitely have a shadow coming in. Okay, so I'm going to match that value and fade it down so it doesn't look like an outline. It's pretty dark in there. Okay, so with my small blender, I'm not going to blend this part. I'm just going to kind of soften it and extend it. And I'm trying not to touch the edges and just kind of blend in where it faded in. Okay, with my blender, I'm just going to add that value. Okay, ring finger. Okay, going back over the wrinkles. And then here, where does that go? Kind of like comes in from the dark. So I'm going to touch over. So clean that back up. See, the more I mess with this, the weirder it looks. Fingers are weird. Okay, so just noticing that there's actually the nail that I can see the side of, and not the finger. Okay, so I'm getting a clean crisp edge, fading it down. And if the value behind your hand isn't very dark, then you could use wooden pencil. Just make sure you sharpen it. All right, with kneaded eraser, I'm going to pull back out. So I have a little cone part, and I'm going to smash it to make a little sharp point. Okay, pinky. I'm definitely going to go a little bit darker in between. And there's like a little wide crease that I did not see before. I'm going to fade that value up onto the ring finger to visually kind of separate. Kind of smudge over that. Smudge it out. Smudge it out. Okay. Wrinkles. Curved. And then I'm just going to add the ones down here again. I'm going to go over it. There's a couple that I didn't put it in there. Okay, I feel like the bottom edge of this pinky is actually the darker part. I'm gonna go along that and fade it kind of in. Okay, so it is darker above this nail, kind of here too. So definitely look at your skin around the nail compared to the nail. And if you have bigger nails showing and you can actually see the detail in them, definitely put that in there. Like, I don't know. Oh yeah, like this one, like with my little moon and then the white part, you would shade that. And I look at how like my nail's actually darker above that moon fading out. And if you can see a shine on it, can I get a highlight? Okay, there's a slight highlight there. Then I would erase that part out. So it kind of depends. Her hands are fairly small. But if yours are bigger, then you'll have more room to add detail. Okay, smudging over her wrinkles and then erasing out a little bit. Okay, I'm putting a little bit of the highlight between. And then I'm going to smudge over that slightly. And then highlight, actually, so I'm going to double check the knuckles. I feel like there's value that comes up in between this one. Like some slight kind of value. Okay, that's definitely there. Almost fading out there. Dude, knuckles are always difficult for me. Okay, so then I'm going to point my kneaded eraser. I'm going to pull back out where the highlight is. I think actually it comes a little bit higher. A little bit higher. A little bit there. Slightly there. And then here it's like right along the fold. And if it's too much, like I feel like that is fine, but if it's too much, then you can blend over just a little bit. Done one quick double look. I'm comparing it to our skin. Okay, there's hands for you. Let me zoom out a little bit. I feel like that's a little bit blurry. So just make sure if they're in front of your face, they're lighter usually compared to the skin. Plus the lighter value will pull it forward. Just make sure that you're kind of refining and not outlining. So just remember, like, in order for this finger to separate from this finger, like, yes, there's a line between, but it's the shadow, hold on, my fingers are fat. It's the shadow fading up a little bit that makes it visually kind of separate. Okay, I'll see you in the next video, which is noses.